Thanks for watching our second episode of Teach Us to Pray. Today I'll be talking about the daily office, which has been an important part of my prayer practice for about 3 years, especially last year when I lived in an intentional community. It was a big part of our communal prayer practice. But when I think about this ancient tradition of prayer, I think about Psalm 119, 7 times a day I praise you, and the daily rhythms and practices of the monasteries that they developed to mark the hours of the day with prayer 7 times. But in our tradition, we typically only focus on morning prayer and evening prayer as being part of our daily office. When we pray these offices, it's still an intentional reminder that all time is sacred and that all time belongs to God when we pray these. If you've ever prayed morning prayer before using our Book of Common Prayer, you'll know that it's in the around page 35 for Rite 1 and around 75 for Rite 2. And then you'll also know that it takes quite a bit of setup sometimes. You have to dog-ear your pages, know where your readings are supposed to come from. If you're praying in a group, you have to assign the readings to someone else usually. And there are also some other resources that I'd like to share with you if sometimes the Book of Common Prayer could be confusing, or if maybe you're new to this practice and you want something simple. There's an app that you can download on your phone called Reignite, and it was something that I used this past year that I've discovered that really enriched my prayer life. When you say morning prayer over and over again, these rhythms kind of become second nature. You almost memorize them, and if you start out with something like the app like Ignatian, it might help you solidify those rhythms, and then you can move on to the prayer book when you feel ready to. But I encourage you to maybe try out morning and evening prayer. Hope that you enjoy the rest of our episodes on Teach Us to Pray, and that we can help you find a new spiritual practice that hopefully brings you closer to God.
Hi, so I'm just going to go over a couple things about the Ignatian app. This is what it looks like when you open it on your Apple device. As you can see, the day that I'm recording this is Thursday after the 6th Sunday of Pentecost, and it's July 8th, and it's in the morning, so that's why it has morning prayer showing up. Depending on what time of day you open the app, it'll have suggestions about which office you should pray. So if we open this around like 7 p.m., instead of saying morning prayer, it'd probably say evening prayer. But just to show you how customizable all of the Ignatian app is and how easy it is to use, I just wanted to show how you can do that. So if you wanted to change the rite that you would say, so if you wanted a more traditional language, you can use Rite 1, the more contemporary language being Rite 2, or if you wanted to follow enriching our worship, you can also choose any of these options for your office that day. So we're just going to stick with Rite 2, and then we'll click OK. You can also choose if you want this to be coming from the BCP, the 1979 version, or the Lesser Feasts or Fasts, which is another resource that the Episcopal Church uses. If you wanted to plan in advance a morning prayer or another office, you can choose a different month or a different day or the year. And like I said, you can change if you want to say morning prayer, evening prayer, compline, things like that. You can also use this app to create bulletins. You can create a Eucharist rite or the baptism, things like that. But we'll just stick with morning prayer since that's what I want to do right now. We'll click OK. And then at this point, you can go ahead and click pray, and that'll create a bulletin. But I wanted to show you a few more customizations that you can do before then. You can add supplemental devotions like the Angelus just by clicking that and telling it where you want to add it. And other devotions as well. As far as translations go, it gives you about 4 different options. The most standard being the New Revised Standard Version, but I like to use the Common English Bible, so we're going to go with that one today. We'll click OK, and then you can even choose how you want this altar to be, if you want it to be coming from the Book of Common Prayer or Coverdale. You can choose your readings. Typically, there's 2 readings that are said in both the offices. the Old Testament being said in the morning, the New Testament being said in the evening, both saying the gospel. Or if you want to just get all three of them done at once, you can change that as well, just by clicking on those and changing them. As far as canticles go, you can change out where you want those from. I usually use the 1979 table of suggested canticles that are in the BCP, but one that I also really enjoy is the Order of St. Julian of Norwich. That's a really great version as well. I highly recommend you check that out. But today we'll just stick with the 1979. And then you can also change how you want the psalm cycle to be. You can do the 30-day psalm cycle or just the daily office lectionary or whatever track you're used to. But since I'm done customizing my office, I'm going to go ahead and click pray. So this is what it shows up like whenever you open the actual office for morning prayer. Gives you the date and then the opening sentence. And then it gives you a couple more options to customize this. You can choose the short or the long version of the confession opening. You can choose whether or not a lay person or a priest is going to say the absolution, things like that. But yeah, as we scroll down, you can see that the Psalms are already laid out for you. The lessons are already picked out. You don't have to flip around or use different things, which is kind of handy if you don't know where those are in the prayer book quite yet. And then it has the canticles for you, following that table like we asked it to. Yeah, you can choose different suffrages of prayer. You can do B, A, or EOW just by clicking on those. And then you can even add prayers and thanksgivings as well. You can change the form of prayers that you'd like to say, or if there's a certain collect you'd like to add. And then normally has the general thanksgiving. And there you go. You can say morning prayer quite easily just by following these easy steps. If you would like to, if you're praying morning prayer with other folks, you can click those three dots up at the top right corner. And you can click create a bulletin or share a quick link. And that'll help you share those to people that you're praying with. If they have a phone as well, you can just text it or email it to whoever you're sharing with. And then you can all say the offices together, which is pretty awesome. If you have any questions about Venite, feel free to leave a comment down below, and I will try to respond to those as soon as I can. But if you also look on back at the home page, there are these three lines at the top. And there's some other resources there as well. They have some tutorials here too that I highly recommend you watch. But I hope that you give Venite a try, whether that's a morning prayer, evening prayer, Compline, and that the daily office is a enriching, prayerful experience for you.